1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 51. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. Although this promise applied for the second coming of Christ, may it be ours as we study the Feast of Firstfruits, its importance and meaning. Plague number 7, Exodus chapter 9, verse 23. And Moses stretched forth his rod toward heaven, and the Lord sent thunder and hail, and the fire ran along upon the ground. And the Lord rained hail upon the land of Egypt. And the hail smote throughout all the land of Egypt, all that was in the field, both man and beast. And the hail smote every herb of the field, and brake every tree of the field. And the flax and the barley were smitten, for the barley was in the year, and the flax was bold. But the wheat and the rye were not smitten, for they were not grown up. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 10. Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, when ye be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the firstfruits of your harvest unto the priest. And ye shall wave the sheaf before the Lord to be accepted for you. On the morrow, after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. The sanctuary is the key that opens the mystery of the biblical calendar, including the Feast of Firstfruits. Passover Festival, the ceremony of the barley. The Grace Hamadan Collection, Crucifixion Date, Part 5, page 8. The ceremony of the barley was the divine rule by which the position of the month Abib was located. If by the 1st of Abib the barley was not sufficiently advanced for the Passover festival, then a leap month was added, and the feast period of the year was delayed until the following month, called an intercalation or embollismic year. The meaning of Abib, barley is ripe. The first month of the Hebrew year, Abib, meaning barley is ripe, pointed to the season of barley. In Exodus chapter 9, verses 31 and 32, Moses gives a very important detail under the seventh plague. And the flax and the barley were smitten, for the barley was in the year and the flax was bold, which occur in this part of the world, the beginning of April Gregorian reckoning, and it's called then a common year. But the wheat and the rye were not smitten, for they were not grown up, and this occurred around the month of June, Gregorian reckoning. The Hebrew calendar regulation, the month by the moon and the year by the sun and solar season. Sidusky, The Chronology of the Jews, page 615. The aim of the Mosaic command was to regulate the months according to the course of the moon and the whole year in accordance with the course of the sun by assigning as a starting point the lunar month coinciding with the beginning of a determined solar season. And the solar season, again, according to Sidusky and found in the Grace Hamadan collection, that determined solar season was still the barley harvest in the time of Christ. The change of the Hebrew calendation came after the destruction of Jerusalem, found in the same excerpt. After the dispersion of the Jews, the Sanhedrin did not content itself to observe the maturity of the barley, but added to it the observation and calculation of the equinox. Reading from Patriarchs and Prophets, chapter 52, page 539. The Passover was followed by the 7 days feast of unleavened bread. The first and the 7th day were days of holy convocation, when no servile work was to be performed. On the 2nd day of the feast, the first fruits of the year harvest was presented before God. Barley was the earliest grain in Palestine, and at the opening of the feast, it was beginning to ripen. A sheaf of this grain was waved by the priest before the altar of God as an acknowledgement that all was his. Not until this ceremony had been performed was the harvest to be gathered. In 144,000 teachers, the first fruits unto God and to the Lamb in the library, we invite you to visit the calendar for the years 2020-2030. And something very interesting is happening this year in particular, in 2023, that we would like to show you, as well as 2030. This year, April 2023, corresponds to the first biblical month and the beginning of the second one. The new moon for the first biblical month was celebrated in March, and we can see here on the calendar that it was corresponding to March the 25th, Gregorian reckoning, as the new year or the new moon for the first month. Now, being that it happened on a Saturday, Gregorian reckoning, then all of the biblical Sabbath will be corresponding to a Saturday Gregorian reckoning because of the moon cycle. And this will be the celebration of the 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th of the first month, biblical month, corresponding again, as we said, to a Saturday Gregorian reckoning in April 2023. The Feast of Passover, corresponding to the 14th of the first biblical month reckoning and corresponding to April the 7th Gregorian reckoning, is followed by the Feast of Unleavened Bread, always a 7-day Sabbath and a holy day. Then it follows on the 9th of April Gregorian reckoning. The 16th of the first month will be the first fruits. The first fruits and the Feast of Passover, though parts of the Holy Convocation, permits to have, actually, we can do secular work on those 2 days. Passover, you can do secular work, and so is first fruits. Babylon is falling this year. The calendar was changed by a decree written by Constantine, a Roman emperor, a pagan, and the Bishop of Rome in 321 AD, and it was actually enforced in 325 AD, which contributed to destroy first fruits. And also, of course, Passover is no longer celebrated per se. They call it Good Friday. And Easter has replaced the feast that was supposed to represent the resurrection of first fruit. The Feast of Unleavened Bread is usually not kept by the Roman Catholic Church and the Protestant, even if they keep the Passion Week. What we want to bring to your attention, though, that is very important, because of the replacement of by the feast, and even especially with the barley being now the equinox, this has totally destroyed the calendar of the Bible, the biblical calendar, the true one, and also the feasts of the Lord, and of course the Sabbath, which is now imposed either on a Friday for certain religion, Saturday, or Sunday. This has definitely changed the biblical calendar. And interestingly enough, Easter's is always kept as a very, very high day in the Christian world, and it is kept as a day of rest. However, this year again, we're repeating it, Babylon is falling. This is the exact pattern of Leviticus chapter 23, where you have Passover, unleavened bread, and first fruits. Passover, you can do secular work. Unleavened bread, you keep it as a Sabbath. First fruit, you can do secular work. And it's supposed to be exactly when the true resurrection occurred, and we know that for a fact, being able to calculate when it happened according to prophecy. So here we are. Babylon is falling this year. And though we have not necessarily looked at Easter for 2030, but the pattern is exactly the same. Out of all the months, that the years that we have shown you in our library at 144,000, we have checked every single one of those years from 2019, 2020, all the way to 2029, 2030, and only 2 years corresponds to what we're showing you here. It is not a rare happening, but having out of 10 years, we can see a pattern that repeats itself when you do a rule of correspondence. And it demonstrates without a shadow of a doubt that when the Feast of Unleavened Bread falls on a Saturday Gregorian reckoning, the first day of unleavened bread, the next will be a Sunday Gregorian reckoning, and basically the first fruits then for the biblical calendar. And then it will be imposed as a day of rest in the Christian world, but first fruits, we can work. We rest our case. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 20, but now is Christ risen from the dead and become the first fruits of them that slept. Revelation chapter 7, verse 4, and I heard the number of them which were sealed, and they were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. Revelation chapter 7, verse 9, after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number. So the 144,000 can be numbered, but not the great multitude, of all nations and kindred and people and tongue, which stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. Revelation chapter 14, verse 3, and they sang as it were a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders, and no man could learn that song, but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. Revelation chapter 14, verse 4, these are they which were not defiled with woman, for they are virgin. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto God and to the Lamb. This study can be found in our website, Numbers 1317, file 17. You might be interested to visit it. We are not looking into it as we could, but we're just using it as an example of the number 7 in Revelation. The 7 messages, the 7 church, the 7 spirit are found in the book of Revelation. The 7 candlesticks, the 7 stars, the 7 lamps, the 7 seals, the 7 horns, and the 7 eyes. The 7 angels are found in the book of Revelation. The 7 trumpets, the 7 thunders, which are future events to be disclosed in their orders. And if you want to find the secret of the 7 thunders, get a concordance, a Greek concordance, and find where you can find it in the book of Revelation. There are 7 thunders, and those are attached to events. So put them together and you will have the secret that John was told not to reveal. The 7,000 men, the 7 heads, the 7 crowns, the 7 mountains, the 7 kings, the 7 angels, the 7 vials, the 7 angels, the 7 plagues, the 7 vials, the 7 blessings, the 7 promises to the overcomers. These are all presented for us who are alive today when these things shall happen. The 7 promises to the overcomers read, Christ will give us to eat of the tree of life if we overcome. We shall not be hurt by the second death. We will be given to eat of the hidden manna, being given a white stone, a new name. We will be given power over the nations, a rod, and a morning star. We will be given a white raiment, and our name will be written in the book of life. We will be made a pillar in the temple of our God, and we will come no longer out, and the name of God will be on our forehead, and we will be granted to sit with him on his throne. And these promises are for the overcomer. In the book, The Great Controversy, chapter 40, page 648, more is revealed about who are the overcomers, who are the 144,000, who are the first fruits unto the Lord. upon the crystal sea before the throne, that sea of glass as it were mingled with fire, so resplendent is it with the glory of God, are gathered the company that have gotten the victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name. With the Lamb upon Mount Zion, having the harps of God, they stand, 144,000 that were redeemed from among men, and there is heard as the sound of many waters, and as the sound of a great thunder, the voice of harpers, harping with their harps. And they sing a new song before the throne, a song which no man can learn, save the 144,000. It is the song of Moses and the Lamb, a song of deliverance. None but the 144,000 can learn that song, for it is the song of their experience, an experience such as no other company have ever had. They are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These, have been translated from the earth, from among the living, are counted as the first fruits unto God and to the Lamb. These are they which came out of great tribulation. They have passed through the time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation. They have endured the anguish of the time of Jacob's trouble. They have stood without an intercessor through the final outpouring of God's judgment. But they have been delivered, for they have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. In their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before God. Therefore are they before the throne of God, and serve him day and night in his temple. And he that sitteth on the throne shall dwell among them. They have seen the earth waste with famine and pestilence, the sun having power to scorch men with great heat, and they themselves have endured suffering, hunger, and thirst. But they shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more, neither shall the sun light on them, nor any heat. For the Lamb which is in the midst of the throne shall feed them, and shall lead them unto living fountains of water, and God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. Revelation chapter 14, verse 14. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, Trust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. And another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar which had power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, Trust in that sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. And this is where we are today. We are looking at the barley, the wheat, and what is mentioned here, the cluster of the vine of the earth. 3 harvests. Which one will you be part of? Revelation chapter 21, verse 10, and he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God. And he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of God and of the Lamb. And the Spirit and the bride said, Come. And let him that heareth say, Come. And let him that is athirst come. And whosoever will, let him take the water of life freely. The water of life, which is promised to those who are overcomers, and the bride of the bridegroom. This is the first fruits, presentations showing that the first fruits are the 144,000, which is a number that can be numbered. And they have a song which only the 144,000 can sing. That song is found in Revelation chapter 15, verse 3, and they sing the song of Moses, the servant of God, and the song of the Lamb, saying, Great and marvelous are thy works, Lord God Almighty. Just and true are thy ways, thy King of saints. Who shall not fear thee, O Lord, and glorify thy name? For thou only art holy. For nations shall come and worship before thee, for thy judgments are made manifest. For thy judgments are made manifest. Great and marvelous are thy